We're on a hunt, not for monsters or treasures, but for concept art and leaks. Yeah, it doesn't sound super exciting, but you'd be surprised. There's a ton to glean from the tiniest details in a character design. It's especially true when Marvel seems so determined to tell us nothing about their new film, The Eternals. Let's face it, it's desperation time. Production leaks, wild accusations, and internet chats are all valuable information when we get this close to a trailer. Which brings us to this video. The Binger has the latest details, and even a few spoilers we found recently. The best way to craft the potential story is to start with what we know. For instance, Kevin Feige, the all-knowing producer, confirmed that the movie takes place over 7,000 years, which feels right considering it feels like we've been waiting that long for this film to come out. We also know that this cast is stacked, like more stacked than your video game sports team when you force CPUs into trades. Okay, so maybe that comparison isn't for everyone, but you get the idea. The actors in this cast are both proven stars and huge up-and-coming A-listers. They've got talent from top to bottom. Heck, they even managed to get Kumail Nanjiani jacked for his role. We didn't even know that was possible. Finally, we know this film is big for the MCU. It's going to be the 25th film in the universe, and the first of a potential franchise. Black Widow may be starting out Phase 4, but The Eternals is going to be the tone setter. Everything we need to know about the future MCU is starting right here. Let's talk about some of the production leaks first, and then move into the concept art. Sure, it's like eating dessert before dinner, but we don't care. It's our video after all. So, production leaks have been infrequent to say the least, but we did get a great look at locations and costumes. We can clearly see that the film is set in England. Most of the shooting was done at Pinewood Studios in the UK and on location in London and Oxford. For the most part, all the location shoots appear to keep London unchanged and in a modern look. This would lead us to speculate that the present-day scenes are taking place there. It's safe to say they'll move quickly to the current time in the MCU. We also saw some developed character art for Icarus. The suit is glowing, and he appears to be holding a photon blast in his hand. It's super similar to Captain Marvel's visual effects. All of it tells us that they're sticking with the concept art we saw at San Diego Comic-Con and D23. Fandom is a fickle thing. One minute, the entire internet is all for your decision. Then the next moment, you can't do anything right. The Eternals doesn't appear to be an exception to this rule. The casting received high praise, and the director choice was unanimously applauded. After all, we all believe that Chloe Zhao will continue to do great things. The same cannot be said for what we've gotten from story and character points. Remember that concept art we just talked about? Yeah, some fans aren't sold yet. Many claimed the colors needed more pop. We don't disagree per se, but we just want to hold out for the final verdict. The same goes for the plot. It's exciting to know we're getting a lot of lore with this film, but that's a lot of time. For a universe that appears to be skipping around a lot, this isn't exactly fresh. Not to mention 7,000 years is a lot of time to cover. We have no doubt it could lead to a tangled up plot, and many fans seem to agree. No preamble this time, let's just get into the theories. Icarus, for starters, looks to be a huge focal point of the film. A lot of leaks are of him and Ajax. Icarus appears to be the foundation for the photon powers we see Captain Marvel obtain. Contrastly, Ajax appears to have the glyphs that we normally associate with Doctor Strange. Fans will likely get some more power origins out of these two characters. Furthermore, the outfits of Kingo and Phastos appear to be from identical color palettes. Perhaps the two are closer than we realize. Yes, that's looking at things a bit closely, but the connection is worth noting. There's a ton of stars in this cast. Some of them are going to have to share screen time. Perhaps their powers are helping them both blend into Earth a bit too well. It's not much, but each of these outfits and casting choices tell us something. For instance, there's a ton of age range. Looks like the Eternals, in their immortal state, are still in different phases of maturity. Let's see how that plays out. So none of this may sound like spoilers yet, but let's relate it to the comics just to push the point. For instance, Icarus is often deeply connected with the humans on Earth in the comics. Judging by the outfit and the photon connection to another Earth hero, it's super likely he'll be the first one to reveal his identity to the public. They're just begging for that to be the case. Fans also know that the Deviants are a huge part of the storyline. Technically, Thanos is considered to be a mutated Eternal, which is close to a Deviant. They're not exactly the same, but the MCU always changes things up. It's incredibly likely that the fallout of Thanos' deeds brings the Eternals out and acts as a beacon for Deviants to attack. Moreover, this group of heroes is not perfect. They all have their own feelings about Earth and the like. On-location shoots we've seen only show a few Eternals and no villains. It's much more likely the battles take place in the cosmos with the rest of the team that aren't Earth-based. No, this is not what you think it is. We're not here to take a sneak peek at where the crew is as we speak. That would make no sense. Instead of tracking them like they're Jason Bourne, we're just gonna look for clues and spoilers. Which, speaking of, we totally found some.
Jesus Christ, that's Jason Bourne.
Did we set all that up just to use that meme? Yeah, we did. Seriously though, some spoilers are apparent based on production status. For instance, it's more likely at this point that only one Deviant played by Haz Slayman makes an appearance, or perhaps he's the leader of a larger group of faceless drones. That setup tends to be Marvel's go-to villain choice. We can also assume that, no matter what, the whole team will get together. Cast photos show the whole crew together around set, so obviously there are scenes where they all unite. Just don't expect them to get along for the whole movie. The centralized shooting also tells us that the whole story isn't going to jump locations a lot. We touched on it, but expect this film to tie into Endgame a lot. We've only gotten crumbs of what to expect after Endgame, and it's driving us mad! Obviously, Thanos being connected to the Eternals is going to be brought up. They may not dwell on it for longer than a moment, but you're going to hear about it. He's been such a factor for so long that his presence would just go silently into the night. We also know that Captain Marvel was out around the galaxy assisting other planets affected by Thanos. It's a safe bet to assume the Eternals are doing the same. In the comics, the Celestials helped create the Kree, Skrulls, and humans. The early concept art showed us Celestials, and they look a lot like the golems that wielded the Power Stone. Given all this, it's safe to bet that these Skrulls and Captain Marvel will tie in somehow. Nick Fury is out in the cosmos looking for something. He doesn't just go on vacation. Something doesn't add up. Like, why is Gemma Chan being recast as Cersei? It's time to get serious.
I'm super serial.
The truth is, all this amounts to theories if we don't come out and make some solid claims. Yes, it sounds like we're playing both sides, but hear us out. We believe it's certain that Icarus is going to reveal his identity in this movie. The people of Earth are definitely going to discover the fact that they've got Eternals living amongst them. We also believe that the outfit we saw is a key part of that unveiling. All the concept art we saw looked older and more mystic. It's clear that the writers leaned into the mythos of the Eternals when creating the story. On top of this, we know we're going to learn a lot more about Celestials. The Infinity Stones are gone, but this film takes place over 7,000 years. It's going to explain away a lot of lore in previous films. We know for a fact that the movie will be more of an origin story than many people first expected. Marvel wants to introduce these new faces and make them stand out. Here's another concrete fact. Marvel's getting good at holding in secrets. It used to be that a star would slip up and leak something, or some rogue PA would accidentally Instagram a plot point. It's rare to see them sell you on a film now. It's caused a lot of these films to lose hype. Marvel is starting to tighten things up, and it makes finding spoilers difficult. However, that's a good thing. We found spoilers in the smallest details, but that took some digging. Even then, some of you might still be skeptical, and we don't blame you. What we see though is the MCU and Kevin Feige sending a message. They've heard the fans. They know that the concept art and the casting choices get scoured over by the fandom. It builds hype for the movie. Everything we talked about today sounds exciting. The Marvel trailers don't show most of the movie anymore. Remember how disappointed we all got when we saw Mysterio? It turns out that reveal didn't spoil much at all. Marvel is catering to fans more than ever now. We want to end this video with one final overarching look at what the Eternals is going to be when we see it. By now, you know more about what's going to happen in this film, but let's take it to the next level and go through this fast. The whole film is going to center on bringing the Eternals back together to destroy a deviant threat. Given the large time span, it's more likely we're going to see huge jumps in time. We start out at the beginning, move to the end of the team, then finish with them reuniting. It's a classic arc that the first Avengers did on a small scale too. The whole movie is going to symbolize the transition into Phase 4. Yes, Black Widow provides elements of that already, but the Eternals is something more. It's a bridge in the lore. Tons of big ideas and loose plot strings left over from Phase 3 are going to get tied together here. It's all going to transition into the next big threat too. See? We told you there were spoilers. Still don't believe us? Share your ideas in the comments down below. We're following all the updates, so like this video and subscribe to The Binger to keep up. And a special thanks to all of you already subscribed to our channel.